Dardoch, Matt, and Lorlo, the starters here. So we'll see how this progresses throughout the year. So far, though, it's been Piglet really trying to put everything on his back. He actually has a 97% kill participation as an AD carry in the first 2 games, which it's a double-edged sword, right? You want your team to be able to do things without your AD carry because Team Liquid ended up losing games when Piglet got caught.
Yeah.
If he's really the one doing everything.
True. And Phoenix was trying to pick up that slack. We saw his Shockwave flash play that whiffed, unfortunately, in their TSM match. So, yeah, Piglet needs a little bit more supporting staff here. We'll see if they can make that one happen. But the Gangplank ban. Bans are most of the way through here. None of these really unfamiliar faces here, other than Team Liquid realizing, yeah, we should probably remove Poppy from the pool. And CLG will not get to pick that. But they will get to pick Rise.
Yeah, Rise falls through here. Don't know if the priority will actually be there. Swain.
Definitely Swain.
It's probably Swain.
Obvious first pick.
Yeah. All right, we got ourselves a Rise. Now the question will be, teams have been very willing to beat Rise, so to speak. Like, it's been banned a lot. It's been picked mostly. It was 100% pick ban in week 1 across all major regions, which is rare that a champion is that agreed upon to be super strong. But as you see, even in North America, the win rate 0-2.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes when you have champions that are this high priority in pick and ban, you almost over-tunnel for it. So Team Liquid probably didn't walk up to the stage being, all right, we're going to do Rise with these champions against this situation.
Yeah.
Because they now have to pick it against whatever CLG has ready for it, and they have to now secondarily tailor their composition around Rise.
And interestingly, they've already rushed in the Fiora pick here. So Counterlogic Gaming really unafraid of Fiora versus Rise in the top lane. It's a workable matchup, actually, so that should be totally fine. And they will definitely leave their mid laner for later. Of course, they can flex that Corki in there as well. So I would personally expect to see support jungle next up for CLG. We'll see if that ends up being true. Team Liquid, of course, now to make their own choices. And Graves off the plate, Kindred off the plate via being banned right now, or disabled right now, means Rek'Sai is next man up, or woman up in this case, alongside Lucian, AD carry for Piglet.
Yeah, so that will be the 3rd Lucian game in a row for Piglet. He has been very comfortable on that champion. Hopefully he can pick up his win on the 3rd round of it now. And the Rek'Sai is the generic jungler at the moment.
Yeah.
A little bit of everything, probably a tanker. Needing to just disrupt people in team fights.
Alright, so Team Liquid already have a somewhat well-rounded composition. You got physical damage, you got magic damage, you got a tank so far. They can flesh this out kind of any way they want, but they know whatever they pick, they've still got a solid core to work off of. This can actually be a very successful way of approaching champ select, where you know you can't screw yourself up that badly. They even have Lucian for some wave clear. Like on a lot of axes, this comp already actually works in a few ways based on what they can pick up next. Counterlogic Gaming, next 2 choices. What are they going to go for? Elise, likely going to Xmithie, and there is the Alistar. So they are indeed leaving the Corki for the flex pick. Will it be Huhi? Will it be Alphamu? Or Stixxay rather? Who knows?
Yep.
But they've got tanks.
It was Huhi who actually played Kindred mid earlier this year as well, so he's definitely no stranger to playing any AD carry up in that mid lane. And a very quick Bard walk there by Matt into Aphromu's Alistar. Had previously been the champion. Aphromu's won his sole game this split on, which is Bard. But yeah, now the question will be how they pull this composition together in the end.
And they interestingly put Lorlo on Shen. It was like an immediate lock on both those champions as well. So
yeah.
Once again, we talk about tanks being a bit weak into Fiora. She can often bully them down. Shen, I think, going to have a hard time up there, so this is maybe a bit risky for Lorlo, but as one of the newest players on the roster, maybe you just put him on tank duty and say, good luck, brother. The rest of us going to go carry. Phoenix is getting Rise after all.
Well, there will definitely be a window in this game where Lorlo will have an edge on Darshan. The Fiora matchup, especially against tanks, turns on much later into the game. The shielding, the damage. I mean, if Shen can get to a Sunfire Cape early, he basically just needs to stand next to Fiora and he out-damages her.
Okay.
It can get pretty ridiculous in the early game, but then obviously, if the Fiora gets ahead, it's the same story as against any tank.
And it looks like Counterlogic Gaming might have been screaming TSM quite a bit in the recent past because we're looking at another Caitlyn AD carry. Looks like a Siege composition with some engaged tools and some tanks and a Fiora split pushing off on the wings, but that 4-1 is going to be very hard to stop for CLG. And Team Liquid, they've got Bard for the engaged tool, so they kind of see, I think they saw some of this coming. And Shen knows how to hold up against Fiora.
Yeah, I mean, CLG's definitely not with the team fighting composition, whereas Team Liquid has a very strong team fighting composition 2 strong tanks, huge damage dealers in Ryze and Lucian, and a utility-based support in Bard. Whereas CLG, they have the 1 tank support, but they're mainly split pushing. It's actually going to be kind of tricky for CLG to pull this all together, since the Shen and the Bard and the Rek'Sai theoretically have more global pressure as well as being a good teamfight composition.
True.
So I really love the draft thus far from Loco Doco if the team can execute in game.
Absolutely true. CLG wants to be split up to play this game, and Team Liquid can turn a 5v, 1 into a 3v3 on the other side of the map almost immediately. So it could be very interesting to watch for. Now, as always, you guys at home, stay connected. Let us know what's going on Twitter. You saw the picks, you saw the bands, you saw the compositions. Send hashtag TLWin or hashtag CLGWin at LOL Esports. We will, of course, tally up the vote in the game and see if you guys are great at prediction here. As the teams load themselves into the game, Team Liquid not started the way they wanted to. 0-2. They could pick up a win here against CounterLogic Gaming. We'll see if they can do it, and here we are into the game.
Yeah, and based on the draft here, CLG is going to need to pull ahead pretty substantially early, whether it be through a strong lane swap situation or just superior play, because if Darshan, Huhi, and Stixxay get ahead all individually, that's when it's going to take too long for Phoenix and Lorlo to power up to that team fight mode where I think their composition could shine. Because even if you have a team fighting composition, if you're down 5,000 to 10,000 gold in the mid game, it's not going to matter.
So, concerns abroad for stopping the siege before it turns on, but if you can't make that siege work, then Ryze becomes very scary. These players did all play last week, so shouldn't necessarily be first-time jitters with settings and whatnot, but we'll see what that pause was in just a minute.
Yeah, because the Team Liquid lineup that actually played on Sunday of last week, they said that was their first time playing together as a 5-man unit.
Yeah.
And Mark, Team Liquid's assistant coach, actually explained that at the start of the day, saying they wanted to put Dardoch in, but they didn't want him to go all by himself, basically, so that's why they also subbed in Matt, and they're kind of trying to keep that pseudo-comfort level part of Team Liquid Academy, essentially, and part of the core Team Liquid team.
And it looks like we're ready to go back in. There was a brief issue with Matt's monitor, though it seems to all be fine once again. So half the players typed R, some typed ready. Apparently there's a, an economy on characters when the game is paused. So it's fine, but we're resuming in a couple of seconds here. We'll be back into the game. Nothing interesting has happened just yet. Just loading into the game, getting across the various parts of the river. And as we get ourselves back in, CLG just putting up a line of scrimmage trinket wards across the map. Of course, jungle camp spawn at 140 now, so if you put your wards down between 43 seconds. Oh! Ooh, Smithy with the gameplay. Understands that W is an attack reset, goes into spider form, attack, W, attack, attack. 10 gold. CLG winning.
Smithy with the CS lead. Yeah, this early laning phase should be pretty advantageous for Huhi.
Minions have spawned.
If he can poke down Phoenix a lot on Ryze. Ryzes want to be able to go tier into Catalyst, but depending on the harass that Huhi puts out, might force him into the slower Catalyst into tier build because he's going to need the health early.
And jungle starts as well. At least starting at Raptors here as the duo lane. Look, this is exactly the invade that Immortals went for, interestingly enough. So,
right, but they actually didn't see CLG with their ward, so they think they're clean, but here's a surprise.
And the focus goes on to Lorlo as the Q went over towards the jungler here, but this Shen now low on health. And look at that, CLG stealing parts of the blue buff. Exactly what you want from your duo lane. It's actually, I guess Immortals and TSM did the exact same invade, just CLG found people here. And
I mean, we've talked about scrim pockets in the past where certain teams will scrim against a smaller set, like 2 or 3 teams the whole week, and something will be really successful in those scrims. And yeah, you can almost be certain that CLG and TSM scrimmed a fair bit because they both took the 2 small golems next to the blue buff and picked Caitlyn and did it in a similar fashion, even though they're on different sides of the map.
Yep. And Immortals doing the same invade, had scrimmed CLG. Maybe like TSM invented it, CLG copied it, then scrimmed the Immortals, and Immortals like, this is really good, we should do this. And now Huhi forced to run away already. Did not have to burn a summoner, but the early roam from Matt's Bard did burn Huhi of 100 mana and a fair bit of health. And otherwise, standard lane swap shenanigans here, Darshan and Smithy on this side of the map. They're going to be ready to knock this turret down or dive in to defend it. Team Liquid know better than that. Lorlo already roaming around the map to join the rest of his squad in the bottom right.
Yep, aside from the early little bit of harassment, Standard fare here. CLG will have a bit of an advantage just based off the experience they were able to garner. Since they pushed Team Liquid out of their entire blue quadrant of the jungle. But to counter that, Dardoch just spent as much time as possible clearing his red side jungle before moving in to the blue buff of CLG. So his basically only lost the time in transit, still able to clear the same number of camps once he gets up to the walls, if he can make it down. Finish that.
There we got it. Waiting for Smith to look like. And now this will not be a proper freeze, so Darshan will, I think, have to push this in, and he's going to hope he gets it knocked in before Lorlo can show up in time. If the team had actually dedicated to hard shoving, they actually could have made Lorlo TP or miss a wave or two.
Yeah, because CLG was ahead on the turret flip.
Very far.
And something that happened in the 2016 season is the second tier turret is much weaker than it was before, especially before 15 minutes into the game, and it doesn't have that extra overshield. So CLG actually could have just kept the 4-man push going and been one step ahead of the game, but instead they decided to let Darshan push in himself and then send a 3-man push down to the bottom lane. And honestly, a lot of those minions are already dying to the turret as Lorlo approaches.
All right, so a lot of lost gold that the Team Liquid top laner is not getting. Looked like several minions did in fact die. The entire melee from the next wave that came through, as well as a decent number of these casters. So Darshan, level 3, just barely. Lorlo will catch up pretty quickly though with this cannon wave coming into this turret now. And we'll see how part 2 of the lane swap goes. But look at the CS differences. 6A has gotten so many minions. He was donated every single CS from the initial lane swap game, whereas Lorlo picked up a few himself, I believe.
This would be a very difficult dive. 3v2, they're going to need a teleport if they want. And honestly, Dardoch has to get there soon if he wants to stop it.
Double TP, what's going to happen? Who will cancel? Darshan will not. Neither will Lorlo, but Dardoch is here. I honestly feel like Darshan could have canceled and hoped Lorlo didn't stop in time and tried to deny another wave on top tier 2. Either way, a trade of TPs, CLG walks away. Denied a few minions from Piglet, but he's going to last hit pretty much everything he can.
Interestingly enough, that trade of TPs actually favors CLG because Darshan was in between his turrets, very far away from minions or farm, whereas Lorlo had to actively leave farm in order to make that teleport. So as far as the TP cost, it was more costly for Lorlo.
As we touch on Keystones, pretty normal stuff. Actually, it's a bit rare that Smithy's going for Thunderlords. You actually more commonly see Strength of Ages across junglers. It depends on play style. Elise can, of course, go for either, but this is more of a gank-focused choice to go deep into the Cunning Tree instead of defense.
Could be burst-related as well if he's going to be going Runic Echoes. Since they don't really have a team-fighting composition, the assassination-based Elise would be better in those scenarios. You'd imagine that's the direction he's going.
Versus Phoenix one more time, but the minions are kind of in the way. Phoenix can't easily land all his Qs. Summoner heal used, and the jump away. Phoenix flashed to stay alive, who he still has his summoners, and won that trade.
Yeah, that was the power play for Phoenix. He was trying to make up for something there. He's gone for the greedy build, despite being down at 1.33 to 18 CS. He gone straight for the Tear of the Goddess, wanted to start ticking up for the late game, and was, in a sense, kind of sacrificing the lane, which makes it a little bit bold to then go for a 1v1 against the guy who just picked up a Sheen, which combat effectiveness-wise is going to be greater than your tier.
Uh-oh, Matt spotted. Afro was already roaming, but Magical Journey is a Magical Journey to safety. Matt is okay. He's going to be just fine.
Yeah, even so, this only exacerbates the CS discrepancy because Phoenix has to recall straight away once Alistair is there and his support can't help him, whereas Huhi got to put the whole wave into the turret and now holds a 22 CS advantage over Phoenix's Rise.
Even Dardoch clearing up the wave doesn't mean too much here for Team Liquid. An advantage to Counterlogic Gaming. Worth 300 gold, all said and done. AD carries right now sit equal, so do junglers, so do top laners. Piglet, nice E into auto attack by 6A. Landing that actually is a pretty heavy trade. You get a guaranteed headshot with extended range, so 6A just gets to like hit him twice. And it's expensive, but it was useful there.
Yeah. Lorlo saw the ward, which Smithy placed down in the blue buff jungle there as well. And the battle continues in that mid lane.
Looking for the play onto Phoenix. They will not land any stuns. He gets back behind the minions in time, but now trying to blast down Huhi. But be careful because Smithy is right there in front of you. Thunderlord's not triggered by Smithy from what I could tell, and not enough damage to kill him.
Yeah. Rise still able to pack a punch, even with the tier here. So Huhi has to be very careful. He's actually behind the minions when he's fighting Phoenix. Otherwise, he will just die to the machine gun spam of Rise. Or he needs to make sure Xmithy is there, but Phoenix did a pretty formidable job there of just pushing back a two-man game. If he can deny the blue, though, that would be big.
Ooh, he gets it. Blue buff over to counter Logic Gaming's mid laner. Darshan also pushing up this wave. Now they know Rek'Sai is around. They saw her try to steal away the blue buff. Their own blue buff, I suppose, but Darshan's still safe enough. And Lola forced a last hit under turret. Darshan level 6, doing pretty well in this matchup.
Yeah. I mean, we did say the win condition of CLG with these team comps is if every single lane pulls ahead. Well, currently every single lane is pulling ahead for CLG slightly with CS advantages. Very impressive showing thus far. And I think CLG did this earlier as well, prioritizing early Rift Heralds.
Give it to Darshan. Now, Huhi has had basically a perennial push lead in mid lane. We can show up before Phoenix. That said, Phoenix does have TP, so that roam can be matched, but I feel like there's a very real risk of top lane getting dove. Blue buff steal only goes to Dardoch, so it's still an overall better situation for CLG where the blue went to the right person.
Yeah, and obviously Team Liquid knew about that the blue buff was safe because they got the Rift Herald global callouts. You're like, well, clearly there's a couple people invested over on that side. But this is yet another time where Huhi has pushed Phoenix back to base, and the second teleport burn just to get back to lane.
Yeah, so TP down for Phoenix. Dardoch's position now matters quite a bit because I still think CLG have the opportunity to make that play for top lane tier 2 and start using that Rift Herald a little bit more. After clearing away some of the deep wards, a defensive pink to keep that all safe. Dragon is, of course, on the map, and it looks like CLG would rather play for this part of the role. In this part of the map, they're going to leave Darshan up against Lorlo. Riposted to see if he's going to tank a taunt. He didn't take that after all.
Yeah. Trying to send the CC back at him as he escaped.
And Lorlo recalling. I think he needs to do this. He needs to have items in the expectation that there will be a dragon fight soon. So having the Bomby Cinder will let him push the waves out a little bit more. Have a better lane situation against Darshan. Stixay already on BF sword. Piglet pretty close to that as well with a double longsword plus BF.
Agreed. Although, even though Piglet has played very well, picking up a lot of kills in both games, he's been behind the CSD at 10.
Oh, flash wasn't enough. And good luck getting away from this one. Dardoch saves the knockup until it's too late to jump away. Beautiful job. First blood goes to Piglet and a great ult by Matt.
Yeah, and honestly, if you flash and you still get hit by the Bard ult, that's just a poor use of the summoner spell. So Stixay with the misplay during the retreat, even if he was going to die either way. The aggression stays for Team Liquid.
CLG's got to be careful. Bit of a gambler's fallacy, just staying around when there's already the sunk cost of dying. And Matt picks up Xmithie, staying to defend something that could not be saved. Aftermoo, only level 5, cannot ult himself out, but Team Liquid will not go for the chase.
Hey, and that's why Team Liquid brought over both Dardoch and Matt to the starting lineup. They have that inbuilt synergy, the jungle support for the team. They get some deep vision coverage, and Huhi goes in!
Wow, in they go! Hello, Phoenix! And he's got the Shen ulti. They don't! No, they do have enough damage. He leaves it for Huhi, and look at that special delivery of a kill into the mid lane.
Man, that's why Corki mid is just so fun. Because if there's ever a gank opportunity, he can always be there. And it's also not even that high risk because he gets his Valkyrie after delivering the package if something were to turn away. Phoenix just got really surprised there by the Darshan and package gank out of nowhere.
Well, Darshan being ahead, he was allowed to keep the lane pushed. He was allowed to roam down the communication. Huhi saying, I have package, come mid, we can dive Phoenix. And they were right there on cue. Good play by CLG. Their first kill of the game. It ties the score up in gold. And as much as they try to push the mid lane down, this will not die just yet. But Piglet has to buy. He's got that one kill earlier onto Xmithie. Needs to get his items in. And Phoenix is already back in time to defend the turret.
CLG needs to rotate and get these turrets very quickly because so far, 12 minutes into the game, they haven't really exerted their early game advantage that heavily onto Team Liquid. And pretty soon, Phoenix will be of proper rise power and will be very hard to deal with for CLG. Unless Afremu can just tank everything with his ultimate. But I've even seen a full build Rise cut through a damage-reducing Alistair like paper.
True.
And because of the plays of Dardoch and Matt there in the bottom lane to get the kill on Phoenix, the gold is still close, which is why CLG needs to cycle these turrets. Mid lane turret is already low, Phoenix is still pushable, and Caitlyn has nowhere else to be. So expect CLG to try and make a move for objectives and the third turret.
Already, just slowly going up the map. All right, bot lane Adder's dead. Cool, let's get Dragon. Okay, now to mid lane here. CLG able to take quite a lot off the map with this temporary power they've got here. Piglet is back on the map here. He's up to the top lane. And Matt is near him as well, so Darshan would be in danger to fight that 1v2. We'll see how much work can get done by Piglet up there.
There's the turret. Their Team Liquid's hoping to turn back at least one. Piglet,
gotta be careful
Piglet
about
actually
tier 2
could
though.
continue pushing, but there's 5 people mid lane.
They're both
and
down.
Substandard wave clear for Team Liquid. They actually need dilution there. The team itself is very weak wave clear wise early game.
See Bard. Ulti's gonna catch Huhi. This is dangerous now for the Corki. He has flash, but too early on the cue. No stun's gonna land. A Stixay caught out again. And now he's going to try to get away. 1 kill already onto Lorlo. Piglet on the backside. Going to get soloed out by Darshan. But this is still not the best battle for the CLG top laner. A double kill for Dardoch on the other side of it. A split fight. And it's going well for Team Liquid. Off the initial catch. It's all gravy for these guys. And look at that fight. A 3-for-1 to Team Liquid.
Stixay and Huhi both getting caught in various stages. And speaking of aggressive junglers, challenging Smite Warrior Rek'Sai.
Oh, man.
Everyone has been going Cinderhulk Tracker's Knife just for the defensive capabilities. Dardoch just wants to fight you, and they're going for the Rift Herald after that push.
That's going to be theirs, no question. A little bit of damage in the mid lane. Rise not exactly the fastest at killing it, but we'll see just how much more Team Liquid can get. So, 1 Dragon, 1 Rift Herald to CLG, now 1 Herald as well for Team Liquid. Give that to Piglet. He will recall. Of course, he did well in that last fight. He'll get himself boosts, and he'll find a turret to kill.
Yeah, and the idea for CLG was good here, but this is the team fight that Team Liquid wanted to get. Stixay was actually pushed forward because he was afraid of getting caught in the Bard ultimate, and already being down his flash, was just left with nowhere to run after that happened. CLG probably needed to retreat towards the Raptors if they wanted to escape this one, but at the very beginning of the fight, they didn't have that position. So really, it was the ideal time for Team Liquid to come down in this fight. They land the proper CCs on the collapse. Even with Matt missing his Bard stun, they still had enough repeatable crowd control to just destroy CLG's marksman, who got closed in on very quickly.
Great flank and good job by Matt now in his 2nd LCS game ever. And he's going to get another one.
What
He's hit
shot.
every Bard ulti on at least someone. And here comes the team. Aframu in a bad spot dies. Piglet 3-0-1. Another pickoff. Everything going well for Team Liquid. Looks like you give this roster a little bit of time to gel, and look how much better Team Liquid is.
Yeah, even when Team Liquid hadn't played together as that team of 5, they gave TSM a really big run for their money, and honestly were in positions to win that game on multiple occasions. And this early game, they knew they had to withstand the tremendous pushing power of CLG, and thus far they have. This will be the potential problem, though, because they need a way to keep Darshan at bay.
It's gonna not have that many tools. Darshan getting this far ahead on Fjorth. Unfortunately for him, only is getting assists here, so his gold income not as high as his KDA might imply. And of course, Team Liquid can just easily walk up to the mid lane here, but there's still some threat. Look at the damage by Smithy, and they will try to knock down Matt, and they will get him. Huhi on the roam. Team Liquid overextending, missing their top laner. He's dead for 6 more seconds. Does have Stand United. Piglet trying to run from Darshan. Will he get the help? He's not going to get it in time. Darshan gets a shutdown.
And CLG just coming back with a bunch of kills. After Team Liquid won that big fight, CLG had no hesitation in going to try and make plays, and they are on the hunt of Phoenix. He was pretty quick with those boots of swiftness. Nice sidestep. But even so, we're in for a very messy game, it almost feels like, or at least very chaotic, because CLG is going to continue to try and run it on the map, and Team Liquid has the tools to corral them, but then also CLG is not going to stop trying to make the plays. So there are a lot of really quick decisions that you have to make.
Yeah.
And honestly, with a challenging Smite Rek'Sai with no Sightstone, there's not the vision to make sure these plays are safe all the time.
That's very true. You also have to consider, I feel like another big factor is the level of experience of the shot callers. Aframu's been running around leading CLG with Darshan for a very long time now, especially if you could just consider LCS lifetimes, more than half of it. Dardoch and Matt, like, okay, yeah, they've done very well in Challenger, but how many times these guys faced a team as good as CLG at rotations and realized that that mid lane push was going to turn into 3 deaths? Yeah. And as the two who are the voices who are leading the team, games like this that are very chaotic, where there's constant rotation and constant checking back and forth of who's making the right moves, that's advantage CLG.
It should be, for sure. And that's why we saw CLG bounce back so quickly after losing that mid lane call. And now it's, you know, the item thresholds are advantage at least Darshan. And how is Team Liquid going to be countering this Fiora split push? Do they send Phoenix's Rise down the Fiora and he can 1v1 him? Or do they just, you know, hope that Lorlo is always near a turret and that Darshan won't become that big of a problem? I kind of feel like that's the way Team Liquid is going because they do have that big advantage. And Matt's been so accurate with his Bard ultimates. That's,
speaking of accurate,
nearly a dead Bard.
Dragoon not going to land. Piglet staying inside the minion line, but who he really wants in. Magical Journey brings the team to safety. Dardoch right over the wall there, but CLG still ready to keep pushing forward. Triforce Sork Shoes done onto Huhi. 6A has enough attack damage to be threatening as well. Here's the push towards top lane tier 2. Only one minion alive right now. They're going to have to wait for the next wave. Sean risked the taunt attempt.
Technically gives Team Liquid time to rotate over.
Here's the wave clear. Piglet holding onto the ultimate. Wants to save that for the impending team fight, but Stixay about 5 auto attacks down on that turret.
Yeah,
it's getting lower.
He's also set up a wave of traps on the flank where Team Liquid would be arriving from. So really just trying to set up sieges with Corky Rockets, Elise Poke, who's now switched over to tank. After the Runic Echoes, another hit.
But look at that, CLG putting the front line in front after headbutts away some of the would-be damage, and all as well. Runic Echoes doing plenty of damage with the Spider Link. Smithy's got to feel good about that. Easy to lodge, easy to land Poke. And now in on towards Dragon. CLG going to make that 2-0. Rift Herald despawns as Baron's coming up. Yep. CLG retaining what map control they can, but just like last game, a very close battle. 1,100 gold separates these teams. Dragon 2, not the most important factor in this game. Team Liquid absolutely have the ability to come back into this one.
Yeah, who would have thought coming into the day, actually no, everyone would have thought the most snowballed game by 20 minutes would be tipped versus Cloud9. They would have just expect Cloud9 to be winning because these last 2 games have been really close, 20 minutes through. And once again, like, you kind of do give the edge to Team Liquid as the team fights progress here, with Phoenix just stacking up the mana on Rise and Piglet having that really smooth power curve on Lucian, not to mention Matt has shown he can catch Huhi and Stixay out of position with the Bard ultimate. But there's also the inexperience of the Team Liquid roster. There's how well the AA carries and Fiora can eventually scale with the split pushing scenario. And does Team Liquid have any type of answer for Darshan? I don't really think they have the answer for Darshan, so it's going to be a break between how well Team Liquid can collapse and force fights on 5 before Darshan ends the game for CLG.
Yeah, you talk about answer for Darshan. For what it's worth, Phoenix is basically equal gold to the Fiora here. So theoretically, in terms of like them being equally powerful, Phoenix can match. Lorlo's actually down about 1,000. You can see how hard the game's been for him, of course. I just don't know if that's actually going to work for Team Liquid, of course. That's a really big question. Lorlo is still the one defending against this. Darshan pushing up what he can. 4 turrets already gone. Bot lane and top lane tier 2 are the available objectives. Baron would be difficult, but CLG do hold ward control over that. There's only a few ancillary wards nearby for Team Liquid on that side of the map.
But the map pressure is all on the side of CLG.
Oh, yeah.
And that will keep adding to a gold advantage, and the initiation is still difficult for Team Liquid. They have a good front line with the Rek'Sai and the Shen, but it does seem like they're pretty reliant on Matt to land that Bard ultimate, since the wards and the traps from CLG are keeping pretty good track of where Team Liquid is.
So there's never a chance for them to get around behind Darshan. Now, when you have a map this controlled as CLG does, you often see a farm lead start growing in the mid game because Team Liquid can't safely get the minions, and they just sort of die on their own without aiming to kill them. And sometimes you can see gold leads grow that way. Right now, it's not happening though. CLG, that 1,400 gold lead, really hasn't moved very much. All they've really gotten for that trouble is that dragon.
Yeah.
What?
It would tend to progress towards stacking dragon buff or Baron control, but at 22 minutes in a close game, Baron control doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And the stacking dragon is still a fair ways away, since COD started Rift Herald pretty early on instead of the dragon.
And you're against a Rise, so do you want to wait 16 minutes for the 5th dragon to come through? And let Rise get 2 more items in the inventory? It's dangerous, so Counter Logic Gaming have to be a bit concerned here. They're on somewhat of a clock. As Team Liquid's damage continues to rise. Darshan battling with Lorlo, pops the ulti, but here comes Phoenix. A trade of flashes, a dash to get away, but Phoenix is really, really, really fast. Nice riposte by Darshan, predicts
the instant cast spell. He got her across on an instant cast spell. That is pretty tough to do right there. Phoenix not really respecting Darshan. Darshan recognized he'd get in the range with the Swiftest Boots Alacrity enchant and the fact that he's Rise. He gets pretty quick movement. But yeah, Darshan with an outplay to stay alive.
Phoenix, 750 of 750 on the tier, 8 stacks of 10 on a Rod of Ages. He is, sorry, 6 of 10, I take that back. Getting pretty big. And he's already got the components for the Seraph's Embrace, so Phoenix is got that damage core done now. It's now time to get tanky or get a Void Staff. Watch that outplay again, it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, the immediate flash follow, and then Phoenix, it looked like he just pressed W on Darshan, and as soon... Oof.
And of course that stuns, so there's no chase left.
Yeah, because Reflection is straight back at him.
Oh, Phoenix got some wave clear. All is well there. Afro collapses the tunnel. Level 9 of the Alistair is, in fact... He didn't level up his Q yet. It's only 4 points. Am I miscounting?
Let's see.
He hasn't actually
Level
spent
9.
his 9th skill point, Aframu.
You are correct. He puts... Yeah, Aframu has not spent his final skill point. I know you wanted to check and say it was max and Q.
Yeah, it's 4 points Q.
Yeah,
It's just like
it
chilling.
looks like he's max and Q.
Maybe he needs that really clutch heal. You know, like 5 more health is going to save him.
Technically, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, it's optimal to save all skill points when you cast the skill, but mechanically, that's really hard to do properly. Cocoon nearly hits Dardoch. That was close.
I'll let you know when he skills out.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate you. Lorlo and Dardoch, again, starting at the blue buff. Neither are great recipients, so Smithy says, yeah, I'm just going to take that one, thank you. Smites it away, takes it out. Can't smite anything but jungle monsters anyway, since he went for the Tracker's Knife, so why not steal buffs? 6A, given a lot of the farm. Does have the rapid fire cannon, of course, because CLG is about that siege life.
The package for the rotation really fast. Yeah. Going to run out on Huhi, so used it quickly. But here's the flank opportunity.
And it will catch Huhi again. Now, will they land the taunt? No, he misses it! Lorlo does not lock him down. Afro to buy some time, and Dardoch shut down right away. The squishy one just drops. Now, Lorlo the next target to go down, and Lorlo pops the ult to give a shield to Piglet just to get the durability in. A missed cocoon by Smithy, though, and that's going to lead to him dying, and no one can land the damage, which is actually the case. Matt looks at the Q, gets a 2-man stun. Here comes the re-engage. Phoenix wants in, but oh no, Darshan and Huhi turn it back around, and Phoenix sniped away. A 4-for-0 CLG.
How many missed taunt flashes can we see? 2 today, 1 from Balls, another from Lorlo, and a big fight win for CLG right there. Team Liquid tried to find the brute force team fight. They failed on it, and 26 minutes into the game, CLG break the base of Team Liquid.
20 seconds on many of the respawns, though, does not give CLG a lot of time. If they wanted to, they could kill this turret, but then they'd get attacked. They'd probably lose a lot afterwards. Dardoch is in the wings. He does not find where they're recalling, though. Actually, could have never seen that. Yeah, won't stop the recalls.
And this, so they get the Bard ultimate. This is why they say they can go, because really watch how much damage Huhi does towards the backside of that fight. The taunt was basically on top of Huhi anyway, and why it didn't stun is because the taunt was finished animating by the time he flashed, so it's no longer going to stun when he gets in on him. Or he flashed while he was still in stasis. Either way, it was mistimed.
I think he missed either way.
Yeah, I think he missed. And at this point, Phoenix is getting out as much damage as possible, but he runs low, has to back away, and Team Liquid decides to stay engaged, even though Darshan is still in the pink ward. But Huhi, remember, if he was taunted at the start of the fight, he would have been dead. And he did the majority of the damage in this fight for CLG. 6A gets him with the ultimate on the backside. Now there was a 602 Corki, who is no longer vulnerable to a taunt flash play because the kills he picked up from that fight bought him a QSS.
And he's already going for the rapid fire cannon to cap it off. So now they've got 2, well, soon, very good sieging AD carries. So it's the interesting thing as we watch the double marksman comps go through. With Graves and Kindred, they're not quite as good at this. They don't actually like rapid fire cannon very much, but these 2 champions are going to hit turrets from out of range, and it will continue to be on Team Liquid to land the engage. Matt has missed 0 Bard ult so far, so props to him on that one, but the follow-up has to be there.
Yeah.
And whether it was on Gnar or on Shen, Lorlo has honestly not found the right engages with Team Liquid.
Loose non-engages that lead to victory. I remember some pretty decent Gnar ultimates, but the thing with those is it always felt the step slow. You got like a 3-man Gnar ultimate into a wall, but the fight would be half over. So really not quite the tuning, and it would be disastrous for Team Liquid to start this split 0-3, because that is what they are facing if they can't come back in this game. That last fight, they have a very, very fed Huhi to deal with now. And yeah, Matt,
a lot of danger.
He landed it, but not the way you want to.
Not move fast enough, and the red buff slow, I believe, helped set that one all up. The CC all landed, so CLG, another pick. They are up in kills. They're up 5,000 gold, and they feel maybe safe enough to start Baron. Of course, they do not have TP on Darshan right now. That is actually 35 seconds away. So instead, they try to bait Baron,
and they stand still. For Dardoch to see.
He checked one of the brushes, but not the one right next to the lane. And nothing gets picked up. Very good patience by Team Liquid just to not risk it.
CLG is also waiting to start the Baron until Darshan can actually join them.
Yeah.
There is 15 seconds left on his teleport right now, so they did have Team Liquid back to base, which was a pretty bad time to back, honestly. And Double Marksman is getting that Baron super low, super quickly.
There's the reveal. 3,000 health left. No one's around to steal. Not a chance. And there we go. A clean and easy smite for Xmithie. Baron picked up before 30 minutes. Counter Logic Gaming. Quite far ahead.
Yeah, at the end of the day, Team Liquid just didn't have the vision control to face check or even to rec side check, because he'd already done that. What if they're all not moving in a brush? Then you're still dead.
Yeah.
And some of that calls back to the fact that Dardoch went so aggressive, knowing that he was going to need combat stats to push CLG out of split pushing, but in not going Tracker's Knife or Sightstone, there's just not as many wards on the map anymore. This is a trend we're going to have to continue to monitor throughout the LCS season, because last year everyone could buy the green wards, or you could get the upgraded yellow trinket and still kind of reach your ward cap with everyone. 4 people on your team could have 3 wards up at all times.
Yeah.
That's just not the case anymore unless people build Sightstone.
Ooh, all right, now looking for Phoenix. He dodges the skill shot, but there's a big cow coming in. That's going to be the kill picked up. Xmithie gets the 11th of the game for Counter Logic Gaming. And as the minion wave comes in, they can push this turret.
Based on the positioning of Phoenix, there was nowhere to run.
Yeah.
That is a pretty big error by Phoenix, because they need him to defend these turrets. If CLG can break a second inhibitor, maybe even a third, the game's essentially over. And without their primary damage dealers, that might actually be now an inevitability. Piglet also not with his team, so an abandonment of the strategy by Team Liquid here, and they're going to lose both inhibitors.
Well, Team Liquid have to take a big gulp here and realize that their base is going away. 7-11, they are behind as they wait for the mid lane to get pushed in.
This is honestly Team Liquid just completely falling apart after one missed team fight. They had a pretty good strategy holding up now, but it seems like it's all gone out the window.
Yeah, CLG, 29-minute Baron, open them up. Now comes the push on Ahu. He takes a bit of damage, but Dardoch can be knocked down. The ulti on a stick. They keep him out of the fight for a few more seconds, but now all is well. Top flash lands. Huhi, QSS flashes out. Lorlo gonna die. There's gonna be a bunch of healing thanks to Darshan. Phoenix next up with the plate, 2 for 0. Piglet cannot knock down Stick Sight. The Bard stun won't matter nearly enough. 2 members alive for Team Liquid. It's enough to deal some damage to Darshan, but it will not be enough to save their base. They're gonna keep going. They really, really want the fantasy points here for CLG. Pushing it as best they can. Wow, they knock him down. Huhi, his 8th kill of the game. That's going to be it. CLG improved to 2-1.
Going all the way back to the draft phase, they let through the first pick Rise, very confidently pick Corki after the fact. Huhi gets a CS advantage in lane, translates it through the rest of the game, and it was honestly close for about 25 minutes, with Team Liquid coming up with some pretty clutch team fights until the disaster happened in the bottom lane. Missed taunt flash by Lorlo, overstay by the rest of Team Liquid, allowed CLG to build the QSS as needed to prevent the fights from Team Liquid, and that allowed CLG to split push them to death.
Well done. CLG identifying a lane that they had an advantage in. Darshan, absolutely one of the premier top laners in North America. Lorlo, a rookie. You know, it's going to happen when you're up against one of the very best. You start getting out-pushed there. The rotation's, of course, great as well. The shot callers of Team Liquid, also rookies. It's a hard matchup to look at on paper. But that said, I think Team Liquid are maybe the best 0-3 LCS team. Maybe the history of 0-3 LCS teams. A very close loss to Renegades, a very close loss to TSM, a very close loss to Counter Logic Gaming. I mean, these are teams that are mid or top of the pack in North America, and Team Liquid could have just as easily been 3-0 against them.
Yeah, they just haven't been able to put it together. They've had 3 pretty close games and always falling on the loss side. We saw Phoenix just a moment ago. He's someone who was almost an MVP candidate last split, and he's had 3 relatively underwhelming games. It really feels like in a lot of these games it is Piglet trying to carry the world. Dardoch came up pretty big in this last game. Even Matt made some big plays. But Phoenix just doesn't seem like the same dynamic powerhouse he's been with Piglet in this last year.
Yeah.
And if he can pick it up, maybe that's the key to Team Liquid turning it around.
Well, it's interesting because I know we talked earlier, I believe at the beginning of the day, or beginning of this game rather, about individual contributions versus how you look when your team's actually doing well. And it feels like Phoenix is going to be a product of his team. Like Piglet, you're seeing him open his own advantages. He's winning duo lanes, he's making really good plays in team fights, he's low deaths, he's high KP. Like Piglet's playing about to the limits of what a great AD carry can do. Phoenix seems to me a team fighter through and through, who has the mechanics to make these team fights work, but it's a roster helmed by rookies, and that's hard if you're